So good morning, students. Welcome to our last lesson in KUC 111. I can see that the number of participants is still low. So let us give them about 6 more minutes, and then we start off. So what you can do is to encourage your friends, your colleagues, next of kin, to join so that we can learn together. This is a class of 3,000 and something, 3,000 plus students. So 163 is way, way, way below what is expected to be in this class. So kindly tell them to join in very fast so that we can move on together. So let us give them 6 minutes. At 11 sharp. We shall start off with or without them. So it is 11 sharp. We will start off our lesson. I can see people are joining. So without much ado, we'll go on to look at what I've prepared today. And as we do so, I want to do a brief recap of what we have learned in this course, KUC1110. As I've often said, this is a course offered to all our undergraduates with the intention of enhancing their abilities to communicate. The thought is that you have been communicating ever since, but there is need to better your communication for your social life, for your academics, and later on for the workplace. It is hoped that as you do well in your academics, then that will open an opportunity for you to work. And in that workplace, you will be expected to communicate with your bosses. You'll be expected to communicate with colleagues and even your clients in your various spaces. So what we have been able to do this semester is that we began by getting an understanding of what communication is. We went through various definitions of the word communication. We looked at the fundamentals, the elements that make up the communication process. We also talked about the barriers to this process. And we said when looking at the barriers, we are not just examining them for the sake of finding that they are barriers or finding out that they are barriers, but our intention is to be able to mitigate them because they occur in our various associations. When we interact with others, there are moments when these barriers can arise. And so as a scholar, there is need for you to be able to find solutions and be able to break through so that you can be able then to share information as you intend it to be received. Because we established that communication is arriving at a point where we have shared understanding. Every time we lack this shared understanding, then a barrier is present. And this barrier has to be worked on to eliminate it, to reduce it, so that communication then can happen. We also looked at types of communication, and we established the three basic ones, that is the verbal communication, the written communication, and the non-verbal communication. We looked at the challenges that are likely to arise with each one of them and what then can be done. Then we looked at listening skills, and we said that your life as a student will majorly be occupied with listening. There will be very many opportunities for you to listen to your lecturers, listen to your colleagues, listen sometimes to educational videos that are posted by your lecturers with the intention of helping you to gather some knowledge in the area of your study. So effective listening will allow you to be able to gain the kind of knowledge that is expected of you. However, listening does not just stop at that point. In your interactions with colleagues, with your roommate, with your classmates, there is an expectation that you listen. And further, when you go out to your families, there is an expectation that you will listen. And later on in your workplace, you will be expected to listen. And listening is a process, and listening is likely also to be affected by barriers that then you need to work on to improve your listening skills. We then looked at effective speaking, and there will be opportunities for you to speak because speaking is very much an aspect of human interaction. So how do you speak effectively? to be able to deliver your message. What are the things that are attached to speaking, like your appearance, like what other aids you can use to enhance the understanding of your listeners regarding what you're speaking to them, either in a classroom or at your workplace, or when you're sharing about important information that is related to your course. So speaking skills is another aspect that you need to be very cognizant about, and you need to be able to work on it to make yourself a better speaker. We said that we have listened to many people speak, and we can categorize some speakers as good speakers, and we also have some that we can say are jumbled speakers, depending on certain things that they do, which then amount to either effectiveness or lack of effectiveness in the speaking process. And each one of you, I hope you have picked aspects that you can be able to use as you prepare to speak. I know some of you will become student leaders. I know some of you will be class representatives. I know some of you will, in your job places, be people that are expected to go on and share information. So speaking is something you can develop. None of us is born as a good speaker. Speaking is something people even go to college to learn, what we call public speaking. You take a course and you're given credits and even certificates for being a master speaker. So it is something that you can work on. If you feel that you are not up to the standard that you desire, for example, you stand up to speak and people laugh at you, or you stand to speak and after you have shared information, you realize that your audience does not seem to take you seriously, or they cannot remember what you shared with them, then it means that there is something that was lacking in your presentation of information. So there is need for you to develop your speaking skills. Then we looked at reading skills, another very key activity that you are expected to engage in as you go through the academic cycle of higher education. You are expected to read. I said that most of your lecturers will provide guidance on where you can find information. This information has to be read. They will direct you to books, they will direct you to journals, they will even share with you handouts, and they will expect that you go through them and gather information. You internalize certain information and then make use of them. And during reading skills, when we're looking at reading skills, I introduced you to one of the techniques that has been lauded as being very effective in helping any scholar at any level, the SQ3R, SQ4R techniques. That is a technique that will help you even when you're doing your revision. When you're doing your studies and when you're doing your revision for examination, SQ4R is a technique that will effectively help you to focus on your study and also be able to remember the information you have read. Then we went on to look at study skills, and we said because of what happens in an institution like Kibabi, you are expected to study. And studying is effective when you have a program, an outline of how you want or how you're going about the process of studying. We talked about a study environment. We talked about study activities. We talked about study groups. And we said that when you're studying, then you're doing something that proceeds further than reading. That means you want to comprehend, you want to remember information for certain reasons. Key among them is for examination purposes. That is study skills. And one of the areas of study skills that I insisted on is the issue of group work. You will learn as you go on with your studies in Kibabi that group work is one, or group tasks or group activities some of the ways in which you can easily understand information, because where 2 or 3 and even 4 are sitting and discussing issues, you realize that some kind of understanding will be developed. So do not go alone. Don't be a loner in the world of academics. In the world of academics, we rely on each other. One person could have an understanding that can easily stir up your own understanding. So it is important to work in groups. And I told you how groups should operate, the composition of an effective group, and some of the group activities that you can engage in so that you are not wasting each other's time as you go along the process of studying. Then we looked at the library and the library skills that you need to develop. Kibabi University is one such institution with a good library, both the physical library and the e-library. And I said that because of you are being a member of the Kibabi University, you have a right of access to both the physical and the e-library. You only need to visit the Kibabi library, seek for the assistance of the library attendants, and they will give you directions on how to be enroll yourself in the e-library, and also how to find membership in the physical library. The library is the lifeline of an educational institution, because that is where knowledge is stored. That is where people can go and interact with great minds. So if you have been going to class and going out of the gate, or going to class and going to work or to do other activities, then you are missing out on the essence of an institution of higher learning, because the essence is in the library. That is where the information is. Your lecturers will give you a very small percentage, but the vast majority of the knowledge you will gather and even your performance will be taken care of by your interaction with the materials found in the library. And no one will tell you to go there. There will be no bell. No one will follow you up. But if you want to perform well, and if you want to be able to stand out as a worker in future, because it's not just a certificate. These days, employers don't just work with your certificate. They also want to see knowledge being brought out. And this knowledge is what you have gathered over time. You cannot gather knowledge on the day of the interview, for example, or you cannot gather knowledge in the first month of your working in a place. This knowledge is gathered over time. Immediately you step in an institution of higher learning, you begin to gather information. You begin to gather an understanding. You create an understanding of your subject area. And this will then inform how well you work. It will inform the kind of worker you will be. So those of you who do not see the essence of the library, the essence of reading, the essence of studying, what you're doing is just going through the system. Unfortunately, there are very many universities in Kenya, and each one of them is churning out people. Employers will not just be looking at your certificate. They will not just be looking at what you present as your passes in your exams, because those can be compromised. But the knowledge you have within you and which you can then make use in the job place is something that cannot be compromised. You cannot cheat on how much you know. You cannot cheat on how well you can apply knowledge. So it is important, and I keep repeating this. The beautiful thing is that KUC1110 is coming in your first semester, so that the skills you pick, you can work with them through the 4 years of your study. You can work with them through your master's and even your PhD. You can work through with them in your workplace and even in other courses that you may undertake along the way. So it is important that you love the library. The library should be a place where you find yourself more often than not. Then we moved on to look at writing skills. The writing skill is one of the skills that you need for your academics, because much of what you will gain or which you'll gather as a student will be displayed through your writing. We said the writing you do proves the kind of reading that you have undertaken. So a student who writes well is a student who reads well. A student who writes poorly is a student who does not read. And so it is important that you engage in more reading so that you then can be able to write well. And we said the writing in the institution of higher learning is quite distinct. It is different from the kind of writing that you're undertaking at the secondary school level, the kind of writing that you're undertaking in primary and any other levels. At this level, we do what we call academic writing. And in academic writing, you are bringing out your ideas with the support of what other scholars have written. And where do you find these scholars? In the library. And how do you find them? By studying and by reading. So your writing, your academic writing must show clearly that you have interacted with a lot of scholars out there, both in the books, in the textbooks, and also in the journals, whether they are physical journals or whether they are hard copy journals or they are e-journals. You must be able to interact with them so that you then can be able to write well. We said academic writing will follow a format where we have a number of paragraphs in which begin from the introductory paragraph, the body paragraphs, and the concluding paragraph. And each paragraph has its contents, very specific contents for the introductory paragraph, very specific content for the body paragraphs, very specific content for the concluding paragraph. So it is important as a student that when you are required, for example, to present your work, your lecturer said, present this work to me as an essay. You will be able to gain good marks, good feedback from your lecturer when your work appears like an academic piece of writing. It is written in paragraphs. It makes use of other people's ideas. It has the reference section. It has citations. And it has a kind of language that is distinct in academics, that is objective language, that does not beg or that does not seem to have shortcuts like contractions in the words. So it is important that you revisit the area of writing, because you will write. In Kibabi University, you write. Sometimes in the examination, you write alone, but in group tasks, you write together as a group. And I always encourage my students and say this, that when you are in a group and you realize that the group is taking shortcuts in terms of what they are writing and presenting, you should be able to stand out clearly and say, we will not present shoddy work. Because if you do not do anything, you'll present work that is not academic, you'll present work that does not measure, and your feedback will be poor. The unfortunate thing is that all of you will share that poor mark. If the lecturer decides to give you 5 out of 30, it will be all of you. Yet you know within you that you have the potential even to get 25 out of 30. So each group member, it is upon you to support your group to do the best academic writing that should be done. If you have looked for information from sources, document those sources. Our last lesson, we looked at documenting of sources. And we said every time we look at these scholars, we look at the textbooks, we look at the journals, we look at the newspapers, we should write down the details of those textbooks, especially once we find that we have information which we would like to include in our essay. Write down information regarding that source. If it is a textbook with a single author, then you begin with the surname of the author. You have a comma. Then you have initials of the author's names, full stop. In brackets, you put the date of publication of the text. Then you put down the title of the text. Because you are writing with your hand, you will need to underline the title of the text. But if you're typing it out, then you will italicize the title of the text. Then you put a full stop. Then you give the city of publication. Every text has a city of publication. Then you use the full colon, that is the 2 dots, and then you give the name of the publisher. You will have documented that text. If the text has 2 authors, I gave you instructions on what to do. If the text is a journal, you have found a journal article and it has information which you wish to use in your essay, then again, you'll begin with the surname of the author, comma. You'll give the initials of the author's names, full stop. You will put the year of publication. Then you'll put the title of the journal article. This one is not underlined. Then you will follow with the name or the name of the journal. Now, the name of the journal is the one that will be underlined when you are writing this information with your own hand. But if you are typing, then the name of the journal will be written in italics. Full stop. Then you follow with the volume number, in brackets, the issue number, comma. Then you put the page numbers. Usually it is from page so-and-so dash to the other page. You will have documented information regarding the journal. I gave you even how you can document a textbook that has an edition, a textbook that has an editor. It is important that you revisit that information. That is information you will not leave in first year, first semester. It is information you will work with up to the end of your 4 years. And when you come for masters, we'll require you to have this information. When you come for your PhD, we'll expect you to have this information. It is called the APA referencing style. I told you we have many other referencing styles, but as Kibabi, we prefer the APA referencing style. And I send you to look at that kind of information so that you can be compliant with how documentation of sources is done. Now, students, this far we have been able to undertake a number of quizzes. I think there are 5 this far. That is minus the group work and minus the pre-test. You have undertaken 5 quizzes. I have received some communication from people asking, when are we doing the CAT? In the year 2024, we are not working with CATs. We are working with quizzes. And these quizzes will all be accumulated. The marks will be accumulated to make up your CAT marks. Your CAT marks is 30%. A CAT is a continuous assessment of your learning. That is why after every topic or after every 2 topics, I give you a quiz. So we have been doing that. If you have missed on any quiz, we are not going back to help you. We are moving forward. The only thing you can do is to prepare, for example, for the quiz that is coming this Friday, because there is a quiz on examination skills. After you have done that, the ODEL technicians will be able to put all that information together and help us get the out of 30 of what you have done. They will help us to get the out of 30 of what you have done. It will be unfortunate if you have been learning and you have not been undertaking any quizzes and you have been waiting for CATs. We have not had any CATs. I've always made announcements on the e-learning platform when the quiz is, the time when it will open, and the time when it will stop. It has been realized that a number of you do not prepare yourself well. And because of that, you come to the quiz time and you want to look through the questions first before you begin to answer them. Unfortunately, the system is calibrated in such a way that when you get to the last question, because you don't know how many questions I've put there, by the time you get to the last question, the system will submit that as your performance. So it will submit dashes as your performance. So it is important that once you open question 1, you deal with it and move on. Move on to the next one, move on up to the end. The system on each question allows you about 45 seconds. So if you are there for too long, that means past 45 seconds, the system is just waiting for you to make an answer. It will move on. It will submit those answers as part of your performance. So do not sit there and begin to prepare yourself when the system is open. Prepare yourself well in advance. Once you open the exam, once you open the quiz, you proceed with answering up to the end and submit your answers and wait for the results. Any query regarding issues of your performance, you will channel them to me. However, in your own way, you can be able to access all the marks for all the quizzes you have undertaken. You only need to visit the Odell office. The technicians will guide you on how you can be able to see all your quiz marks. So do not sit there and wait that I don't have any marks. You have marks. They are captured. They are stored well. The system does not even erase them until even much later after this year. The marks will still be ready and present, and you can be able to see them. So today we have arrived at the last topic, and that is examination skills. Student, I know by this time, you know that Kenya runs on an examination system, that our educational system runs on examinations. In the 844, we had a lot of examinations. In the CBC, we will also have examinations, but these ones will not be paper pencil examinations. They will do things called portfolios, where they will store all their work or where they will document all their progress as they go along. But still, that will be examined and marks will be allocated. As for you, what is there is that your understanding, your performance will be gauged as pertains to your performance in the exams. That is why today we want to understand what are some of the techniques that you can use to prepare yourself for examinations. Do you know the components of an exam question? And how can you overcome examination anxiety? Now, every examination usually comes up with anxiety. There will be anxiety every time you are undertaking an exam or you are expecting an exam, there is anxiety. This anxiety is good because it helps you to read more. It forces you to revise large bits of information. It forces you to take time and revisit the information that has been shared with you. So it is important that we have that anxiety. It is the engine that drives us to prepare. If it was not there, I am sure people would take examinations with a lot of laissez-faire kind of work. So it is important that you have that anxiety. But what we are saying is this: you should not have too much anxiety. Too much anxiety until you are not able. Too much anxiety until you're not able to perform. And so that's why we will be looking at some of the examination techniques that we can use to make ourselves much better than we are. So I want to begin by saying this, that examination preparation begins from the level of your entry into that course. Once you report to that course, you begin to prepare yourself. And there are certain things that you need to do as you're preparing yourself for this exam. They are captured in my notes, but let me take you through some of them. Number one, you need to understand the course outline. The course outline is a breakdown of the course units or the topics that you will be expected to take in that semester. So understanding those items or those aspects of the course outline will help you know how far you can read, how far you can prepare yourself. Any one of those topics can come in the exams. Any one of those topics requires you to go through and also to build a kind of an understanding and a connection between one topic and another, so that then you build a knowledge base. So every time you begin a semester, your class rep will request the lecturer to give you a course outline. Every lecturer has a course outline for the course that they are teaching. So request for the course outline. And I've said it will help you know how far you should go. The other thing you do at the beginning of the course is to get a reading list. And this reading list, you'll find it at the bottom or at the tail end of your course outline. This reading list will help you know which textbooks you can be able to make reference to, which kind of journals you can read or look for, and any other reading material that will help you prepare well in that area or in that course. So once you get to you begin the semester, it's important for you to get the reading list and look for those books and begin to read them. At the beginning of the semester also, you should be able to get an understanding, or in the course of the semester, you should get an understanding of the kind of questions that will be set in that course. And how do you do this? By looking for past papers. You'll find our past papers, some in the departments, you'll find some in the library. You only need to request and you will be able to get a copy of a past paper. Sometimes you can get them from your friends who have already gone through that course. They can be able to assist you with the copies of the question papers. Then you can be able to look at them. You can be able to use them in your groups to discuss and prepare for examination. These past papers will also help you to have an understanding of the expectations of your examiner. Your examiner is your lecturer. They have certain expectations about what you can answer, what can come in an exam, and how you should then be able to present your answers. So at the beginning of the semester, you begin to work on this. And I've said it is by looking through past papers. We have daily activities which are also geared towards helping you prepare for examinations. One of the basic activities is attending your lectures. It is important that you attend your lectures. While you have been told that you need to attend 80% of your lectures, it is important for you to know that it is not just the physical presence in the lecture room that matters. What matters also is you being able to participate in the lecture, you being able to listen to what the lecturers are saying, you being able to take notes, and you being able to take down assignments, which you can then work with your group members. So attending lectures is a key thing that helps you towards your preparation of exams. Number 2 activity that you can undertake is writing down clear notes. Every time you go to a lecture, the lecturer may decide to share notes with you. They could write them on the board, they could just be speaking, and you are expected to take down notes. These notes are usually simplified versions of information which you could find in a textbook, simplified information which you could find in a journal. And so taking them down helps to open your mind so that when you bring this other information from the textbooks, you can then be able to get a clear link, a clear understanding of what the topic is all about. So take clear notes. And I've given you techniques of taking notes, both online, during online lessons, and also during the physical lessons, how you listen to your lecturer and write down your information. Another daily activity which you can undertake as you prepare yourself for exams is working in groups with your group mates. It could be in terms of preparing a task or for a task. It could be in terms of revision. It could be in terms of discussion, going through your notes together. That is part of preparation. Sometimes reading, going to the library, you may get a textbook, but you have no clear understanding of the information. But by working with your colleagues, sitting down and reading through together, you will be able to make use of that textbook. You will be able to understand the information captured in the textbook. Another daily activity is going to the library to read. Going to the library to undertake personal study is part of your preparation. There are very many activities that you can engage in on a daily basis. You'll find them in my notes. Now, we have techniques which you can use during revision. One of them is the one that we have just talked about, the SQ4R technique. Remember, when you're preparing for exams, you're also reading. And so this reading can be done using that technique. Another one is writing summary notes. Once you read the notes, you write on the side some sketchy information regarding the topic. That is summarizing. You can also rewrite the notes. Sometimes when you have inability to concentrate, inability to focus, then rewriting information can help you to grasp it so that you're transferring notes from here to there, but in the process, your mind is capturing some information. The night before the examination, we have certain activities you can undertake. One is to check the exam timetable. This is a very important activity. You may wake up in the morning and you are preparing, you are reading your notes, and then you realize that time is over and you run quickly to where you thought the exam is, only to reach there and realize that that is not the room where you're expected to be. And any kind of distraction, any kind of anxiety that you raise on examination day is likely to affect your performance. So it is important for you to study your exam timetable. In fact, write it and put it somewhere. where you have indicated the course and the venue and the time. Some students find themselves in the wrong room. They pick the paper, they pick the exam paper, and they begin even to answer things they don't understand. And then later on, they begin to say, oh, I think I'm in the wrong room. What happens is that 30 minutes after the exam has begun, you cannot enter an exam room. So even if you are in the wrong room and you want to run to the right room, you'll find that the invigilator there will not allow you to enter the room, especially if 30 minutes have elapsed since the exam began. That is why it is very important for you to study your timetable. Know the time, know the course, know the date, know the venue. All those are important details. It is also important for you the night before that you organize the necessary equipment you will need for the exam. In some exams, you may need a ruler, you may need a calculator, you may need certain things that you need to bring to the exam room. In some literature classes, you may require to bring a certain text to the exam room. Make sure that these things are ready. Make sure that your examination card is available. Make sure that your student ID is available, because the invigilator will want to ensure that you are the person sitting for the exam and that you're not sitting it for someone else. So if you miss your exam card or you miss your student ID, there is likelihood that you will miss the exam because you'll be thrown out of the exam room and there is nothing you can do except go and bring the exam card, the student identification card. So make sure that all these things are present. Make sure that you have around 2 or 3 biros. You don't arrive in the exam room and your biro decides to leak and then you put up your hand and you want help. No one will help you because everybody has come prepared. They have carried their 2 pens. So there is no extra pen they're going to give you. So make sure you have a good kind of pen and you have 2 of them. So that in the event one decides to mess you, you can use the other. We have said we do not want to raise any anxiety in the process of the exam. Also, on the night before, it is important for you to do key summaries. Go through your summaries. Remember when you are reading, you are writing sketchy notes on the sides. Go through those key summaries. It is not time now to have all the big books, all the big volumes on your table that you're going to be revising. Your mind will refuse. So it is important that you use that time to look through your summaries. And you then will be able to remember information much easily than if you had a textbook. Also ensure that you have a good rest. A good rest is important because examinations are about your state of mind. If you have not rested, you have spent the night reading, then there is likelihood that when you reach the exam room, you will be exhausted, your thinking ability will reduce, your ability even to connect ideas will be very difficult. Trying to pull information from your mental, your mind will be a very difficult process. So rest well. Sometimes we encourage students and we say, if it is possible, have a meal. But we're not saying that the meal is what will determine your passing. No, we are only saying that you need to be in a good state of mind. You need to be healthy. You need to have your mind, your stomach having something. You're not anxious. And you need to have the ability then to be able to sit for your exams. On the examination day, what can you do on the examination day? Ensure to arrive at the venue on time. That means before the time for the exam to begin, you should arrive. Mostly, in most exams, the examiner will ensure, the invigilator will ensure that they organize you, they arrange you in a position that they will decide. Sometimes they may not allow you into the room before time. So you will stand outside and then they will organize how you enter and sit down. Examinations are taken seriously in Kibabii University. In fact, when you receive your paper, you realize that it is written on that Kibabii is a it does not tolerate examination cheating. What that means is that once you come to the exam room on the exam date, do not carry extra material. Let the extra material be in your mind. And once you train yourself to be doing that, once you train yourself to be preparing, before the exam time, you're preparing. Many weeks before the exam date, you're preparing, you're reading through, you're having group discussions, you're going through your notes, you're reading textbooks. You realize that you will not need any extra piece of information. Some students come with very tiny pieces of paper, which they call Mwakenya. The only challenge with those pieces of paper is that they are so tiny and therefore the information written on them is very minute. You can then not be able to refer to those minute papers without someone noticing. That is what students do not understand. That once you are referring to that paper, someone will notice you. In most of the exam rooms, we have CCTV cameras, which are activated during the exam period. We have people stationed in a room checking what is happening. And the registrar, alongside the examination staff, will be walking around and checking. From the information they are fed from the CCTV cameras, they will simply come for you and pick you out of a crowd of others. So on the examination date, do not carry any extra material. Ensure that all your items are working, all your equipments are working. What you need for the exam is working. Ensure you have your necessary identification, that is either the exam card or the university identification card, that you have them available with you. Usually, you will be expected to sign somewhere your attendance of the exam. There are rules that need to be followed, rules regarding your conduct in the exam room. You are not expected to be dressed too warmly. So do not come to the exam room with a hood, with a big jacket. That is not allowed. Do not come to the exam room with a cape on your head. That is not allowed. Do not come to the exam room dressed skimpily. That means ladies dressed in very short skirts, you will be thrown out of the exam room because that is a distractor. You want to distract your colleagues, you want to distract the invigilators. So you will be thrown out. Woe unto you if you live very far from the university and you have been thrown out to go and dress well. You will come back and 30 minutes will be over. And so when you come back, you will not be able to enter the exam room. It is important, my students, that you dress well. Just dress appropriately. Just come to the exam room well dressed. Know that you're facing your exam. Know that it is an exam system and that you will not be promoted to the next level unless you undertake exams. Another thing that will be expected of you is that on the exam day, your phone is either on silent mode or away from you. And it is very clear that most of the contents that you have learned this year are on your phone. So if any invigilator happens to pick your phone whether it is on or it is off, that is an exam malpractice. You will be booked for exam malpractice. The reason is your content is on your phone. Like I know some of you right now are listening to this lecture on your phones. So the content is on your phone. So do not come with the phone in the exam room. It does not matter whether you are a businessman. It does not matter whether you are the only person in your family who has a phone and therefore they have to contact you. Keep the phone away. Otherwise, your phone will be used against you. The first thing that will happen is that it will be confiscated and kept away from you until the day you will appear for disciplinary. So why come with a phone in the exam room? Just keep it away. Keep it away and be safe in the exam room. The invigilators have done this over and over again. And anytime your phone makes some sound, they will pick it as a prompt from somewhere. You are receiving answers from somewhere. So they will come for you. It is important that you keep your phone away. Another thing that you need to do on the day of the exam is to read the examination booklet. The top cover of the examination booklet gives you instructions. It gives you instructions on how to conduct yourself. In my notes, I've given you a list of what is captured on the examination booklet. I know you have not come across the examination booklet, this being your first semester in Kibabi University. There are a number of things. For example, instruction number 11 says, do not come into the exam room with your phone. That is rule number 11. And so every time you'll be caught with your phone, that is the rule that will be used against you. And once you're found guilty, you will expect to stay away from the university for a maximum of 2 years. Your mistake may be for 1 year or for 2 years. So why should you do that when you have the ability to prepare? When you have the ability to work with colleagues? I know that a good number of you came from systems where you were assisted to go through your examination. Kibabi University does not support that. So you will not get any assistance. You will not be guided. You will be expected to undertake the exam on your own. You will not even be expected to get the assistance of artificial intelligence. You will not be expected to get the assistance of artificial intelligence. So anytime that you are in the exam room, it is you and the examination paper. And I've said one of the things you do is to check the examination rules and understand them. I want to move on and talk about the components of an examination question. Now, an examination question has 3 basic components. Number 1, it has directive verbs. And when we were looking at study skills, we said a directive verb is that verb that directs you on what to do with the subject. Each one of you has learned about verbs. A verb is a doing word. So when we're talking about a directive verb, we are saying it is a verb that will give you directions on what to do. The verb could be like discuss. It could be like list. It could be like compare and contrast. It will be like extrapolate. There are very many verbs that your lecturers will use in setting the exam questions. In my notes, I've given you the definitions of those key words, those directive verbs. I want you to be able to read them. I want you to be able to cram them so that when you get into the exam and you see the word discuss, you know what you are expected to do. If the question says, write an essay, it is talking about paragraphs. It's not talking about points. It's not talking about you listing or you outlining. It is talking about the essay. It is important, student, that you understand the directive verb in the exam question that you face. So every time you come across an exam question, underline the directive verb. Take a few seconds to think about what is expected of you as indicated by the directive verb. The second aspect of the question are the content words. These content words bring out the subject that you're supposed to deal with. For example, a question can be, describe the listening process. So discuss is our directive verb. The subject that we are going to look at is the listening process. That is the subject we're going to deal with. So if you decide to discuss the communication process, then you are going to fail. Because as an examiner, I have my answers which I'll expect from you. And these answers will be regarding listening process and not communication process. So it is important also that you underline the subject. What is the subject of this question? What does the question require me to look at? So that I am not irrelevant. I look at the right thing that needs to be looked at. And finally, any question, any examination question has functional words. Those functional words are other words that help to delimit the question, to give the scope, how far you can go. For example, they can talk about, discuss the educational system in Kenya from 1963 to date. Discuss is the directive verb. The content words are the education system in Kenya. The functional words begin from Kenya because you don't want to discuss Uganda. The question is talking about Kenya. The question is also giving you the period within which to discuss. You're discussing the educational system from 1963 to the year 2024. So those functional words help you to delimit yourself. They help to give a scope to how far you can go in answering the question. So my students, once you are able to understand those three components of an examination question, then you will not be irrelevant in answering the question. Another thing you need to do as you're answering the question is to check how many marks are allocated to the question. A question can have 2 marks. That means the expectation is that you should not give too much information. A question can have 10 marks. That means there is expectation that you write a bit more of information. So students who forget that and give just sketchy notes, even when they have been asked, they see that the question has 10 marks or the question has 20 marks, and they give sketch points, they end up with fewer marks because no one will give you marks for free. So once you understand the question, then also look at how many marks. Sometimes there are instructions on the question paper that say something like, question 1 is compulsory. Or instructions like, answer question 1 and any other 2 questions. That means question 1 is compulsory. And usually the compulsory question carries 30 marks. 30 out of 70. So when they say select 2 other questions, they mean that you will then be able to gather the 40 marks. 20 marks in one question, 20 marks in another. Adding together with the compulsory question, you have 70 marks. Some crazy students only attempt question 1, and then they leave the other questions. And they expect to pass. You will not pass, you will fail. Some others expect to answer everything so that the examiner can select. That is also not the right thing. You're not adhering to the instructions. The instructions are answer question 1 and any other 2 questions. That means you have a choice to select the other 2 questions. I also want to say this, that when you are undertaking this answering of questions, be keen about how you handle your answers. You are allowed to use the last page of your answer booklet to write there your sketchy information. Do not write any sketchy information on the question paper. The reasoning is, there is a possibility that your neighbor can look at your question paper and see some of the answers that you have written. So write anything, any rough work should be done on the last page of your question, of your answer booklet, and nowhere else. Some invigilators will even punish you for writing on the exam paper. So do not write anything. Perhaps you may want to write your booklet number only. You can write that on the question paper, but the rest of the information should be inside your answer booklet. I want to say this. Just the way I began, I said, examinations always bring anxiety. And that anxiety, a little anxiety, is good because it prompts you to read. It prompts you to go out of your way to look at more information. It prompts you to try to connect information. But when this anxiety is too much, then you have a reason to worry. And how does it manifest when it is too much? You begin to sweat. Some people have stomach upsets. Some people even diarrhea because of the exam. Some people have bad headaches. Some people just shake and they just become sick because of the exam. That is too bad anxiety. I want to say this, you can overcome examination anxiety by, number 1, preparing early in advance. For example, your examinations are going to be done next year in January 2025. Once you get home, it is an opportunity for you to revise, sometimes on your own. But I am sure that since you began learning, you have been revising with your colleagues in groups. And so now when you go home, take time to revise on your own. Don't go and sleep. Don't go and overeat over Christmas. Don't go visiting every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It is time to prepare. You can, of course, take a break and visit one person and come back, but ensure that you are close to your books, close to your notes, and you are making good use of that time. So prepare. Number 2, to overcome examination anxiety, it is important for you to understand when the exam will be done, what are the requirements, and what is the expectation of my examiner. I've already told you how you can do that by looking at past papers. So it is important that you prepare yourself. Another thing you can do to overcome examination anxiety is to work with other members of your class, other members of your group, so that once you have this confidence that you understand a topic, you will be able to do the exam well. But when you have no confidence, that is when you'll begin to think of writing small papers. That is when you'll be anxious. That is when you'll have stomach problems and stomach upset. That is when you may find yourself trying to look at your neighbor's work. Of course, looking at your neighbor's work is part of exam malpractice. You're supposed to focus on your work and do it well. Another thing to overcome examination anxiety is not to carry any material that is not allowed in the exam room. For example, keep away your phone. Leave it in the room. Leave every other paper that you may think about. Once you reach the exam room, just talk, have a chat with your friends. Knowledge does not disappear when you talk. So have a chat, have some time of discussion and talking with your neighbors or friends, and just be calm. Also choose a good sitting position. Every time you choose to sit at the back, it begins to give you a sense of you can then cheat. And that raises your anxiety. A person who is invigilating the exam can be able to tell that you are anxious because of where you are seated. So take a good sitting position. Sit somewhere where you can actually see the examiner, where the examiner can see you, and focus on your examination. Do not check your neighbor's work, neither seek for their assistance in any way. Concentrate on your work, and that will help you. So I want you to look at the notes I've given. Those notes will assist you. Those notes will assist you to prepare yourself. And as I say always, make sure that you apply that information as you get into the exam. So students, I want to end this course at this point. I have I think I'll make available a survey so that you give me feedback on how the course has gone. I'll make it available. I also have some last words which I have written to you. I will make them available. Since all this information is still open on the e-learning platform, I encourage you to take time and read through. Take time and read through. So with that, I want to end this lesson here and to end this course here and to appreciate each one of you for learning on this online platform and for helping me to be able to interact with you, as I give you the knowledge and skills that will help you become a better communicator. I hope that this information will be useful as you go along in life. I wish to stop at this point. I don't know whether Bonnie is available on this platform. Boniface?
Yes, Doc, I'm available.
I don't know what happened to our survey, the feedback to the course and facilitator. It is not active. It is telling me I can make it available, but it will not be available on this platform.
Why is it? Just share the screen. I have a look at it.
Does that mean you're not seeing my screen?
I'm seeing it.
Feedback to course and facilitator.
Yeah, just click at it.
I click.
Yeah, the 3 dots.
When I click, I have make available.
Yes.
When I say make available, it says available but not shown on course page.
Okay, scroll up. Just
Up,
scroll
up
here. Yeah.
to
Okay.
the beginning of the course
Beginning of the topic.
or beginning of the topic, yes.
Yeah, beginning of the topic, and then yeah, show. Oh, it's hide and show. I don't know.
I
Okay,
hide
show.
and then
Show. The rest, let's scroll down again. I have a look at it.
it is still not available.
Okay, we'll just have a look at it and then avail it to the students later. Okay, okay, yeah. Uh, okay, make a duplicate and let's see. Mm, okay, it's still the same thing. I think we'll just look at it later and then have it for the students to check.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I don't know whether there are any with questions.
Yeah, let me just look at anything. Someone joking here, but anyway. Just saying thank you, well appreciated. Merry Christmas. Uh, past papers get to the library. Doc, is there any other quiz? Benson Limo, you've been told there is a quiz on Friday. Let me look at YouTube. This other side, I'm not seeing anything, Doc. Let me look at YouTube. YouTube. Lavin, thank you, Doc, for nice lesson. Thanks. Apply this information in your exam. That's Sylvia. Yeah, I'm not seeing any query. Unless if someone has a query, let me go back so that anyone who has a query, kindly raise up your hand. We unmute you. Anyone who has a question, raise up your hand. If you are unmuted, Glenn, unmute. Glenn, unmute and ask. Emmanuel, unmute and ask. Then test. Okay, Glenn.
Okay, sir. I have a complaint in the Zoom card.
There's nothing like Zoom card. There's
Then
nothing like.
The questions there are tiny. We can't see them clearly, sir.
Okay, yeah. You see what is happening is you can change the orientation of your phone. Huh? Simu yako venye wewe unaishika ikiangalia juu, just turn the orientation. You will be able to see the question as expected. Venye wewe una turn simu yako ukitaka kuchukua picha ya watu wengi. Turn your phone that way. You will see the question very clear.
Okay, sir.
Yes, just turn your phone. We are doing that intentionally so that kulikuwa na wizi mingi sana ilikuwa inaendelea, and it was especially for teachers. Ukiiba na wewe ni mwalimu utafunza nini watu? So that one has been taken care of. Emmanuel Care, unmute.
So I did all the quizzes that was scheduled up to this moment, but I'm only seeing 3 that has been updated on my grade marks. So I don't know where others are.
Don't go to the grade marks, go to the specific cut that you did. When you click at it, it will show you the marks. Musiende huko upande wa grades, because there is something we are still working on, what we call the grade book. But if you did, let's say quiz 1, just click at the quiz, you will see the marks there. Quiz 2, click at the quiz, you will see the marks there. Don't go to the overall grade. The overall grade, there is something we are still working on.
Okay, thank you.
For more challenges, just come to the office, ABB101. Elia, unmute yourself. Elia. Oh, Boniface, unmute yourself.
My question.
Okay. Yes.
You told us that when our courses are still pending, we should visit the ICT, and I've confirmed with a number of people their courses are still pending. What can we do?
ICT.
Yes.
Pending process, that is student portal. For us, we only deal with online portal. ICT,
Okay.
they deal with student portal. They are pending on the student portals. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, ICT. ABC 1, is it 113? ABC 113. That is the room. Brian, unmute. Tesla, someone marked Tesla. Okay, Brian.
Yeah, I was just asking when we'll be doing our examination on January. So will you be communicating the place?
What do you mean by the place?
For example, the place where we'll be doing those exams.
Yeah, the exam timetable will be out, and from the exam timetable, it will show you clearly which room you are supposed to go to. Most likely, it will be the big rooms, the auditorium B and C. Yeah? The big rooms. Yeah, that's where you'll take the exams from, because these are a university-wide course. It will be in the 2 auditoriums. Okay, Tesla, unmute. JKS Live, unmute. Tumbili, unmute. Anyone? JKS? Mmejimute tena. Yes, Tumbili.
So I'm requesting. We are far from library, so how can we get those past papers?
I'm sorry, there's nowhere else you can get them if you can't access the library. Initially, we used to have the past papers online, but
Yes.
it was because of some policy issues that they were pulled down from being online. So you can only access them physically from the library. They were being misused, zikatolewa. Kama tu saa hii venye you are misusing ChatGPT and tukafika mahali tumefika. So apparently hatuwezi saidia sana, lazima uende mwenyewe library.
Okay.
Yeah, mtu amecheka pale kwa background. Techno KJ5 unmute. Meshak Kemboi unmute.
Hello.
Yes.
My question goes this way. There were those cards that we were to do, the quizzes that we were doing for 30 to 5, and those ones the same day, then those ones that we were doing 5 to 5:30. So if someone did all of them and wants to remove one, what will be the consequences?
If you did both of them, if you did both of them, that was when the system was having some issues. We'll actually pick the highest mark from the two, because at that time the system had some issues. So we were giving you 2 attempts at times. Yeah, we were giving you 2 attempts when the system is still stabilizing. So we'll pick the highest. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. Moses, unmute. Bonfas Shikuku, unmute. Jonathan Kemboi, sijui kama tumemalizana nawe. Philip.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes. We are getting you.
I was requesting if Madam can combine the notes and make a PDF for us, because we may go home and face an internet challenge so that it may help us during revision. Kindly.
I will answer that
And
on
first, can
behalf
I answer
of
that?
Okay.
I appreciate that kind of thing, but you have been downloading your notes ever since, or you want to begin downloading them now? You are supposed to have been downloading. I give the
They
instructions.
are not combined, madam.
I say download for offline reading. Sometimes I say write those notes. So you're supposed to be doing that. I cannot put them into a PDF. Thank you, Boniface.
Okay. But you know they are much scattered.
What do you mean by much scattered, or they are in the e-learning platform KUC1110? Where have you been learning from where they are scattered? They are just in
Okay,
one
let me.
platform.
I will check on one of the friends so that
They are just on the same platform. You don't need to check your friend. Just go to the e-learning platform and check for yourself.
I was requesting if you can combine them in one.
Combine them yourself. That is part of your work. Combine them yourself.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Ruth, unmute. Ruth? Ruth, unmute. Onesimus, unmute. Okay, Ruth, you are unmuted.
Okay, Doc, I asked quiz 1 and quiz 2. So what will happen to my overall? Am I going to have miss mark, or we're going to divide what I've done?
I have not gotten your question well.
I've gotten her question, Bonnie.
Okay. You can answer, Doc.
Your last statement, my friend, is an answer. We are going to divide what you have done.
Okay.
Okay, someone is saying, who is this? Someone is saying, Wafula. Sir, sometime you may think the time for the quiz is out, but at some instance the time is added. Let the period for the cut be clear. Okay, that one is noted. We've only been kind to you. You know, e-learning, our essence here when we are learning is not to make you people fail. So when we find we are having challenges, some of you are having challenges, they are trying to connect, they are having challenges. That's why we've been lenient to add you some time. But kwa vile mmesema kuongeza time, again, this one has been noted. We will not add you any single minute. This is who? Movin Wafla. Okay, that is noted. We will not add you any time. Tutakuwa wanyama. Let me check again. Who is David? David, unmute. David Owino, unmute. Stephen Barasa, unmute. Brian Ongwai, unmute. Okay, David, you can start.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
My question was that
Yes.
the way doctor said that now per question will be given 45 seconds, then the system submit the answer itself. But to me, some question like in the past quiz, some question needed like more than that 45 seconds. So I think that time duration is just too small.
Okay, I think Doc said very well that it's an approximate. You can imagine you only, in the last quiz, you had only 7 questions and you are given 30 minutes. Can you divide and tell us how many minutes you have per question?
No.
You are given 30 minutes and the questions were only 7.
Yeah, but the answer was submitting after 45 seconds per question.
No. The large questions, it was taking more than 45 seconds. Especially which ones? The ones that you are supposed to type. We had set the system such that you have to type and finish before it submits the question.
Okay, then.
Yeah, don't worry. Bethwell, unmute. I think we only have Bethwell remaining. Bethwell, Anyumba, the rest I think we've talked. Bethwell, unmute. And ask Ebonione. I have been attending all the lectures, but I have not been sending registration number. So will I meet? Zoom actually registers all those that are present. Huh? So don't worry. Some of us have low speed typing. Okay. Hiyo itabidi ujaribu. How can I access e-library? E-library, go to the website. Just go to our website, that is kibu.ac.ke. There's a place where it's written library. You can access that easily. Huyu ni nani huyu? Huyu ni nani? Eugene. Yeah, Eugene. You can just go to our website and then you'll find library is there. All our portals can always be accessed through the website. Student portal, you can get it on the website. E-learning portal on the website. Library portal on the website. Website is the one-stop shop for all our subdomains. So I hope that is answered. The questions, okay. Okay. Let me check YouTube. Do we still have a quiz coming? Yes, Daisy Jerop, there is a quiz coming on Friday. The last quiz, questions are tiny. Yeah, questions are tiny. Nimesema just turn your phone so that it can accommodate everything. Those questions are not tiny. We have tried them. We've been trying on several gadgets and they're actually working. Kindly, how are exam cards obtained? Exam cards are obtained by yourself from your student portal. Once you clear your fee, you can always, kuna mahali utaklik tu kwa exam card itakuja. Kuna hapa nani, huyo ni Emmanuel. Kwa portal yako, you will print by yourself. Sahi kila kitu unajifanyia tu. You don't need to look around for the officers. Friday, we are going to have a quiz. At the same time, we will be having CBC class. Daktari.
Which group is that is having CBC?
Some lady here anajiita Shiva Faith. So I don't know which CBC class is this. The CBC class, I think the CBC class, Daktari, inafanyika mapema. Yesterday I joined one from, I think it's being organized by Dr. Kati. The classes are being organized by Dr. Kati. And they happen during the day. I doubt if they happen as from 5. Shiva,
Yes.
the cat is from 5. Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Because of the fact that it is the last quiz, they will have, if it is a must that they attend the CBC, and which they are cheating us because it happens much earlier than 5, let her run away from that class and do the quiz. But if she has a choice, she can decide to go to the CBC and miss the quiz, or do the quiz and miss a bit of the CBC. But the truth is the CBC will happen before 5. So I think, Boniface, you have done justice to the questions. I want to stop at that point because I have to do something else. And I see the questions are simply repeating themselves. I think we can stop at that point, and any other can come to your office and find out. If someone misses half, they will get the marks for the other half they have done. We have no otherwise. We are going forward and not backwards. So, Mr. Boniface, I want you to leave the platform. I am leaving as well, and let everybody leave and go and prepare themselves for the next thing.
Okay, thank you so much.